Howdy, y'all. I'm Rhett Miller. We're the old 97's, and you're watching 1019 KINK Radio in the Skype Live studio.
Welcome back.
Thanks so much for having us back.
Yeah, you guys have been here a number of times, but you do have a new face with you. So if you could do the introductions for everybody so no one gets left out.
Yeah, those on audio only won't maybe notice the difference, but those watching will certainly notice. Our drummer, Philip Peoples, was injured in a fluke accident the other night. We were in L.A. to tape Conan O'Brien, and he fell down in a dark parking lot and busted his head and got a bunch of skull fractures and some brain hemorrhaging. And it sounds terrible, and it is pretty terrible, but we think that... Really, they're thinking he's going to be fine, and they think he'll be able to join us before this West Coast tour is over, and he'll be back better than ever, hopefully. In the meantime, we've got our buddy from Dallas who plays drums in Polyphonic Spree and has agreed to join us on very little notice and has done a great job. His name's Jason Garner.
And then the rest of the band, of course, Ken, yourself, Rhett, and Murray. Thanks so much for coming. Your 11th album is out, Graveyard Whistling. 11 studio albums, you've got a best of, you've got a live, you've got some EPs, and yet you guys are keeping it fresh each time. Is it exciting every time you release something new?
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing for me is that people always say, well, what do you think about, when you look back at... And I don't feel like I really ever look back because, it's always the most important thing, the most interesting thing is the brand new one. And it's fun to play all those songs, and every once in a while we'll do a record from top to bottom if there's an anniversary or something. And whenever we do that, there's a sort of transportative quality that takes you back to when you made that record, and it's kind of fun. But I feel like we're all really good at sort of staying in the moment, and it keeps it fresh for us. And we talk sometimes, we laugh sometimes about how in a way it's really been good for us that we never had that one breakthrough hit like a lot of our friends had, because then it sort of pegs you in whatever decade that was. We have friends that had hits in the 90s, and now they have to go out on those, relive the 90s tours. And we're lucky enough that we're reliving every day as it goes.
So how do you, when you're putting together your set list, how do you choose from your 24 years of playing together?
That's my job.
It's crazy.
It never makes just play about 130 shows a night.
Oh, that's awesome.
The problem,
and there's always somebody that asks you about a song that, like, they're the only person to ever have mentioned it. Like, I just can't believe you guys don't play
what I wouldn't do.
What I wouldn't do. I was going to say what I wouldn't do. That's funny. Yeah, and you're like, well, why would we? No one. You're the only person that's brought it up in 20 years. Dude, that's your best song. And then you feel cheap, like, really? That was our best song? That one? I mean, gosh.
Well, there's just so many songs. I remember when we made that record that song was on, I think. I gave an early version of the album to a former Eugene, Oregon resident, Charles Thompson, née Frank Black from the Pixies. And I gave him that record, and I said, we're a little worried because we got some different sounds going on this, and do you think it's cool? Because if he thought I was cool, then it was definitely going to be cool. So he wrote me back a nice note. I gave him the finished version, and of course, his favorite song was the one song that we didn't even put on the record.
What was it?
What's it called? Sunset on a Plane, Black Screen.
Villain?
The Villain. Was Frank
Villain.
Black's favorite song. We didn't even put it on the record.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
I mean, that's the thing. When I remade my master list handwritten the other day of all of our songs on all of our albums. And it's 138 songs on the albums, but then you start thinking about, like, for this record, we put 11 songs on it. I brought 30 songs into the band. Murray brought like 5 songs in. So that's 35 songs. There's 24 songs that just went off out into the ether. And for me, I get to make solo records, so they're not all completely wasted, but just so many songs. When will it be enough?
So on this tour or on any tour, do you vary your set list from city to city or kind of go, let's play this one. Let's kind of dig back and play that song that guy said was his favorite.
Well, what I wouldn't do, I think about that song all the time for some reason. We never played it. We normally vary the set list wildly from city to city just to keep it really interesting for us. This tour is a little different because we forced our friend Jason to learn all these songs.
Yes, in 96 hours he had to learn an hour and a half of music.
3 days before we went on tour, he finds out that he's going to do these 26 songs every night with us. So we're slowly adding.
We added one song yesterday. We added Salome, and it felt like such an accomplishment. And we got to play a new song last night. And it felt good. You feel good about that, Jason? Yeah. He said it felt good. All right.
And I feel like we're so lucky to get to be able to play, even though, you know, we're worried about Philip and we miss him, and we have these phantom limb things where we keep going, where's Philip? Oh, crap. But it's so, I feel like we're so lucky that the tour didn't get canceled and we still get to be here. The show must go on, that it sort of makes up for this every night going, oh, it's the same list. Damn. But hopefully you guys won't know because you're not there every night.
We won't know. And then you guys, like I said, 24 years, and the chemistry still appears to be strong. You know, you're not hurting each other. Well,
didn't change much.
Yeah, didn't leave any marks.
We kind of do
anyway.
everything exactly the same way we always do. Like Rhett said, you know, it's good we didn't have that one odd anomaly hit, the kind of thing, because it allowed the same old recipe to just happen over and over and over again in a good way.
Yeah. And so it's fresh every time, and you're continuing that chemistry and having a good time. I mean, it appears, even going backstage, you guys are enjoying each other's company.
I think we're nicer to each other now. I mean, inevitably, like, you know, all the ego of youth sort of just smooths out a little bit. You're like, you know, we've had every single fight you can possibly have. And we've survived them all. So
Ken and I just
pointed
at you. We both pointed at you.
Everyone did, even Jason.
Well, I'd like to point out that
I'm
by far the youngest person in the old 97.
Yes, he does have an excuse.
Now, I've heard you talk about how you're always writing songs. I mean, you guys brought 30 songs or more to this album. You're writing all the time, aren't you?
I am, and I do. I sound like Trey Jones. We are, and we do. I do. I love to write songs. I've been on this tour. I've been, you know, annoying the guys because I've got a buddy that's making a movie, and he asked me to try and write a song for the movie. And so every day I've written 3 songs in 3 days. So I'm just sitting writing like crazy in the back lounge in the dressing room. I love it. I mean, it sort of gives meaning to, we were talking to Oregon Wellness earlier. It sort of gives meaning to life, for me at least, to wake up in the morning and there is no song. And then by about 2 p.m, there's a song. And it didn't even exist this morning when you woke up. It's so cool.
That's fresh and new and fun.
Yeah.
You were here with The Traveler that you recorded, a solo album.
In Portland.
And you recorded it in Portland with Black Prairie. So we got to ask, what have been your favorite hangouts in Portland when you were here?
Well, I mean, I got to work with such a great group of folks with the Black Prairie kids, John, Ginny, Nate, Chris, and Annalisa. They're really sweet. I mean, this town is filled with incredible musicians, but that collective of people, oh my God. So I don't know. I got to do yoga at a few different places around town. I found some coffee places that I really loved. Yeah, I don't know. Mainly my favorite places were like, you know, Chris Funk's living room playing music in front of the fire.
That would be a good place too.
Yeah.
All right. So your new CD is out, Graveyard Whistling. Let's hear some more from it, guys, please.